Today, my featured guest is Bernie Goode. That's right. This guy is good. Let's go. Bernie's 37 years old. He's a self-made credit influencer who came from a rough neighborhood and made it out by the skin of his teeth. He turned his life around and made his first six figures in the first 4 months of starting his credit business. I mean,
Mm.
don't you want to hear more? Grab your pen and paper. Bernie's about to lay it down for you, some wisdom, some insights, some business strategies for your business. He's going to talk about lines of credit for you personally. He's going to talk about lines of credit for your business that you're not taking advantage of, that are sitting there right on the table for you, that can help you to get those new opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities all around you. How many events and conferences, Startup Nation, have you gone to where you wanted to invest in that new course? You wanted to invest in partnering in that mastermind group because those were all the people that you know you need to be around, but you didn't have the money to do so. What if you had the credit to do so and it was right there? So Bernie's going to talk about some of that today. Bernie Goode, welcome to your first 100K Top 100 podcast in entrepreneurship. Go ahead and fill in some of the gaps in that intro, would you?
Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for having me. Definitely an honor to be here. So with me, I would say that my story is very, um, it's heartfelt to say the least, right? So for, the people who don't know me, who's watching this, I am a 37-year-old influencer, right? But I wasn't always in this light, okay? I wasn't always in this light. Very young, at a very young age, I had a boss mentality, right? But I was misguided. I
Mm.
wasn't guided down the right path. Okay. I come from a place where it is a very rough neighborhood. Okay. Queensbridge Projects is one of the inner cities of New York. And it is, when I say rough, it's rough, right? My example of an entrepreneur where I came from was a person who sold drugs. That was my example. That was the person who you would look up to, right? I want to be just like him because I've never had another example, right? So just to give you a little bit of family history, my mother, I'm the only son of three children, and my mom, for the most part, she was a single mom up until my stepdad came in around I was like around 12 years old, right?
Mm.
And they moved us out of Queensbridge Projects into a nice, beautiful home in Pennsylvania. Right.
Yeah, go new stepdad, go.
You feel me? They were stepping our lives up. Inside of my home, it was a very strict structure. Right. My mom didn't play any games. She was very, tough on us because she knew that what the alternative was us turning to the streets, right? Because of what we saw since we were babies. So once we moved to Pennsylvania, I had an a persona about me, right? That I felt like I knew myself. When you grow up in the inner city, you grow up fast. You
Mm-hmm.
grow up fast. I'm talking about at 13 years old, you're pretty sure of who you are,
Hmm.
right? Or at least you think so. So I went to high school in Pennsylvania, and my first taste of entrepreneurship was I used to do music. So my team, my group of friends, they kind of like hyped me up to go and make this CD, go and make this album because everybody in the school knew that I was the rapper guy, right? So I went and I got a job to fund this project. This was my only job that I've ever had in my life, just to let you know. I'm 16 years old and I'm folding clothes in a clothing store, right? And I'm only doing this for the purpose of funding this project. So I worked at the clothing store for about 3 months, and I get the money for my project. We printed up about 3,000 CDs, and we sold them for $3.
No,
$3
really.
a CD. And we sold all of them like in 4 days, right? So I'm 16 years old, and here I am sitting with $9,000.
That's like drug money, bro.
I'm telling
Like,
you,
that's fast. That's a
it's
fast
enough.
profit.
It's enough to get you hooked, right? You're 16 years old. So now, I paid my friends for helping me sell the CD. right? So after everything, I probably had about $5,000 to my name.
That's good profit right
Bro,
there.
I'm 16 years old. So now in my mind, I said, I'm never working for anybody again, ever, because I got a small taste of what entrepreneurship was. I got a small taste of what it was like to provide people with opportunity, to pay people for their time. I learned so much in that one movement that I didn't realize until later, but it's safe to say that I was turned out. Now, fast forward, I moved out of Pennsylvania. Me and my mom were going through some tough times. Like I said, she's a strict mom. And I went back to the only place that I knew, which was Queensbridge Projects.
Why would you do that?
Because I was stupid. I was 17 years old and I was stupid.
How
That's
many
the short
times,
answer.
Startup Nation, do we do that? Right? Like, God sets us free. He takes us out of the prison that we've been stuck in. But because the prison, we take the prison
With us.
with us in our own mind. And we still have an enslaved mentality or mindset. And then we put ourselves right back into the same crappy environment that he set us free from. This is like, Israel, right, in the Bible, right, where they're set free from Egypt, from the
Mhm.
Pharaoh, and being slaves. They're in the desert. It's hard. They're on their entrepreneurial journey, and they're like, this is work. This is terrible. I don't see it happening, God.
Mm,
Bring us back to the slaves. We want to be
mm.
slaves again because that's even better. Because it's all we know sometimes.
Yep. Yep.
Please continue with your story. I just think it's like,
No, it's
how
when
many
I
of us do this?
we do it. We do it all the time. So when you asked me, I had the answer already. I was stupid. That's it. There's no other way to look at it. So 17 years old, I moved back to Queensbridge Projects. I'm talking about like I'm literally I'm like Adam and Eve out of the garden. I'm back in this environment that is I left when I was 12. I'm basically a grown man in Queensbridge eyes, 17 years old, and now I have to fend for myself and I have to figure this thing out fast. So I still have this entrepreneurial mind, right? I have this boss mentality. I'm not going to work. So I started selling drugs.
Hmm.
I started selling drugs. I became a product of my environment.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, I've dealt with that shame. I've dealt with that shame. I didn't realize what I was doing to my own community. And I it took me a very long time to realize what I was actually doing, right? Because I was brainwashed, I was sucked in, I was, enticed by all of the stuff, the things, right? And that led me to getting shot by someone that I knew. I got shot in the chest from someone that I knew, and it put me in a wheelchair, paralyzed me from the waist down.
Shush up.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the cause was.
Yes.
So, this, man, this is so good. Your story is so good. Like, it's so easy for us, right? When these types of adversities come our way to blame others, to blame life, to blame God,
Mm-hmm.
but not to look in the mirror and say, what was my part in this?
Mm-hmm.
Where did I make the decision to put myself in this situation that caused a bullet in my chest and me in a
Mm-hmm.
wheelchair? Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any of that clarity there, or
Absolutely.
wasn't until years later?
So, so in the beginning, I went through all of that. I went through the self-pity. Why me? I'm not that bad of a person. I know way worse people. Like, what did I do to deserve this? Right? I went through it. I went through depression. I went through suicidal thoughts. I was like, imagine going from one day being a 20-year-old kid, popular, playing basketball, around the girls, to the next day you're unable to walk, and you have to learn how to sit up all over again. You have to learn how to sneeze, how to cough, how to yawn. You can't sit up on your own without leaning over and falling. Imagine what that does to your psyche. It was a very traumatic situation. So I spent about 2 years wallowing in my misery, right?
Mm.
And just being depressed, and I wasn't a nice guy to be around, to say the least. And it didn't stop there. That's the crazy part. It didn't stop there. So even in a wheelchair, I continued to sell drugs.
You did not.
Joseph, I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you. I
So
would.
so the bullet wasn't enough to get your
It,
attention.
it wasn't that it wasn't enough. It was I have in my mind figured out a way to survive. In my mind, I said I don't know how to do anything else.
Well, okay, I gotta ask.
Sure.
You sold rap CDs that you recorded, and you were a huge, massive success the first time out the gate. Why didn't you just duplicate that
I
success?
did. I did. I actually that's a part of the story that's missing. I got signed when I was 18 years old to a record label.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Keep going.
The story
Keep
is
going.
trust me, it's layers. We're peeling this onion back. But listen, I got signed to a label when I was 18 years old. But you have to understand, in my environment, where that's cool. Yes, you got signed, you got a little bit of you got some money, right? But that isn't making it to
Hmm.
say. It isn't making it. You're in this place where, okay, I could keep getting these checks and keep getting spoon fed, or I could take this money and invest it. That's where my mind was. So I took the money and invested into the wrong thing, into the wrong product. So I will always say that I had the right idea as an entrepreneur. I had the right idea, but I didn't have the guidance.
This is the wrong vehicle, right? You were driving the wrong car through
Driving the
that
wrong
stage
car.
of your life.
I was driving at 150 miles an hour.
All right, so fast forward us there, right? How'd you get out of this whole bad decision process,
In
right?
jail. In jail in a wheelchair.
No,
The story goes on.
bro. Now you're defenseless, man, in jail in a
Bro, in
wheelchair.
jail in a wheelchair, bro. I did a year in jail in a wheelchair.
That's the
And
title of a book right there.
a year in jail in a wheelchair, something
In
like that.
chair in a wheelchair.
Yep. So in that moment, I said to myself, ah, look at your life. Look at your life. You're in this cell. You are in a place where it's very chaotic. I've gotten into an incident in jail where someone tried to hurt me. I had to defend myself. I said to myself, look at what you're doing to you. Your mother raised you better than this. Your stepfather came in and raised you better than this, right? You have people that love you on the outside. Do you love yourself? I had a real question with myself, Joseph. Like I had a real conversation with myself. And I think in that cell is where I found God again. So when I say again, I didn't tell you this part. When I got shot, I died. I'm one of those people that you see on like Discovery Channel and they say, oh, life after death. I know I really died on the floor. And I saw something that let me know that God is real. And it was mind blowing, but I still didn't get it. So in that jail, I said, all right, God saved you for a reason. You're out here, you're messing up. I dropped out of high school, right? So I said, in this year's time, I'm going to do something productive. I'm going to start actively changing, my situation. I got my GED in jail. 100% got my GED in jail, and I started putting a plan together. I said, when I get out of here, I'm going to college. 27 years old. I'm 27 years old. I said, I'm going to college. I don't care if I miss that window. It's never too late. I'm going to college. And that's exactly what I did. When I came out of jail, I turned my life around. I went to college. Not only did I go to college, I became the president of my college. I started proving to myself that I'm much more than what I've been summing myself up to be all of these years. I've been telling myself that I don't know how to do anything else,
Hmm.
you know? And that's just what we call stinking thinking. That's thinking. I didn't even give myself a chance to be anything else. So, like I said, I went to college and I had the mindset to learn, but not necessarily learn what I was there for. I wanted to learn how to convey a message in front of an audience. So I was studying my professors. I wanted to learn how to be in charge of wide range of people. So I was studying my deans. I got close with these people because in my mind, I'm gonna be the biggest thing in the world. That's what I said to myself. So I wasn't going to school for marketing, and although that's what technically that's what I was going to school for, but that wasn't it for me. And once I got out of college, I said, you know what, I want to. I'm never going to work for anybody again. Like that's still my mentality. I'm not going to get a job. I'm going to create something. I'm going to produce something. And it took me years to figure it out, but I was led to the credit space because I needed credit. That literally is why I got into credit, is because I needed credit myself.
All right, Startup Nation, you now know the man behind the business, right? I
Sorry if
love
I'm long-winded. Sorry if I'm long-winded, but
I love
I just
hearing the humanity, bringing out and showcasing the humanity within the business stories, right? Because we need to know this. Every single one of us has a personal story. And so many times we don't highlight it. We bury it in the sand because we're embarrassed by it, we're shamed by it. And in the story, like when we learn to find harmony between our past mistakes and the better future that we want, and we sync them together, it's like it's like a rocket, right? That's our launch pad. And so many of us don't find that harmony. We hide one, chasing the other, and it just doesn't work. So I think there's so much of your story there that you could just highlight even more.
Mhm.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get into the business. All right. So a lot of our listeners have been patient. They're like, wow, that was a great story
Mhm.
for Bernie. But here's where I am in my life.
Right.
Here's where I'm stuck in my own mental prison or my own bad environment or my own poor choices that got me to where I am. How do I get out, Bernie? What do I do? You're talking about credit. You have a program called Line Skippers, Skip the Line.
Mhm.
Like everybody wants to skip the line, whether it's, I remember when I moved down from New York to Florida, it's like you wait in lines at like, the gas station and everything. And people in Florida are so patient, Bernie. I don't get it. Like I'm in the line for 5 minutes and no one is yelling. I was
Right.
shocked. I was
Right.
shocked. It was just like, yeah, you know. I'm like, I want to skip this line.
Right.
All right. So talk to us about skipping the line when it comes to credit,
Mhm.
as business owners, as entrepreneurs.
Okay. So first things first, we have to realize that every business that you see when you walk out of your house is ran by credit. Literally. Like every business. So when you walk out and you see a building, right, an office building, that business was acquired with credit. 100%. When you see a car on the road, that car was acquired 9 times out of 10 with credit. Everything around us is credit. So, what does that mean? It means that the society that we live in is telling us if you want to play this game, that you have to play it by these rules. And if you don't play it by these rules, don't even think about competing at a high level. Don't even think about it. Just stick to your mom and pop situation, keep paying for your business out of your own pocket, and see how far that gets you. And that's okay. I'm gonna say that that's okay if that's where you want your limitations to be. If you say, listen, man, I want to start a business, but I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to be very small. I want to serve the people and, be known as the local guy. If that's what you want, I would still tell you to do it with your business credit. But if you wanted to pay for it out of your own pocket because you have this thinking of, I don't want to owe anybody, by all means, that's your thing. But you have to learn how to play the game, especially if you're looking to compete at a high level. Okay. That's the first thing that I said to myself. Number one, how you acquire business credit the fastest way is by having your personal credit together. I have to reiterate that because people think that, YouTube University is crazy. It's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and people are just leading the people. There's a such thing as clickbait, guys. I want you guys to understand that. There's a such thing as clickbait. Click on this, and I'm going to sell you a dream. Okay. What you really need to know is that without personal credit, you're actually taking the longest route possible to build up business credit. Okay. When it comes down to business credit, they want you to have net 30 accounts. They want you to have vendor accounts. They want you to take care of these accounts for a certain amount of time. They want you to have 2 years in business. They want you, it's almost like, not to say impossible, but it's not the way to skip the line. Okay. 9 times out of 10, you don't have the money to fund this business, and these expectations that they have of you you're gonna fall short every time. So the fastest way to get that business credit is by becoming a personal guarantor to that business. Think about it like this. If you ask someone for money to fund your business, right? And they say, sure, I'll do it for you. You have to back it personally. And you say, no, I'm not trying to do that. They're going to say, well, we're not trying to do it either. That's how it goes. You have to think like the bank, right? And the only way that you can, or you meet the criteria of backing that business, is by having your personal credit together. Now, what does that mean, right? What does together mean? Personal credit is not about your credit score. Okay, your credit score is a reflection of the overall picture of your credit, right? It's really about your profile. Okay, what does your profile look like? How old is your oldest trade line? Okay, when I say trade line, I'm going to speak to you guys as if you don't know anything about credit. Okay, a trade line is any time that you go out for credit using your social security number or your EIN, whatever reflects to your credit report is considered a trade line. Okay, how old is that trade line, right? What is it worth? What's the limit on that trade line? Have you taken care of that trade line? Meaning no missed payments, no late payments, right? What's the utilization of that trade line if we're talking about a revolving account? And let me break down revolving versus installment. So when you think of a revolving account, I want you to think of a credit card, right? I want you to think of something that when you pay it back, it comes back to you like a revolving door. Okay. So any type of credit card, any type of line of credit, right? That's when the bank gives you money, puts it in this specific account, and you have access to it, but every time you pay it back, it comes back to you. An installment loan, however, is when you're paying an installment on money that you owe. So if I have 50K that the bank lends me and I spend $10,000, every time I pay that money, it's going back to the bank. That's an installment. Okay, so how many of these type of accounts do you have on your credit report? How old are they? What's the utilization? Have you missed any payments? This is what makes up a good credit mixture when it comes down to your profile. Okay, they want to see, and I'm gonna give you an example of installment accounts. They want to see personal loans. They want to see student loans. They want to see a mortgage. They want to see an auto loan, right? These things kind of give you validity that others have trusted you with a decent amount of money. Now, revolving accounts, like I said, those are your credit cards. That's your American Express. That's your Citi, your Chase, your Wells Fargo, whatever, right? And then you have lines of credit that come from the bank as well, which are revolving. The better the mixture of credit that your profile holds, the more likely that 700 credit score, that 750 credit score that everybody's trying to get, the more likely you're going to get to it, and it's actually going to mean something. Let me be clear. You can get a 750 credit score without all of the mixture of credit, but it's going to be lightly weighted. Okay, it's going to be lightly weighted. It's not, you can walk into a dealership with a 750 credit score because you've become an authorized user on someone's account. I'll break that down as well. And they're going to say no because it's not heavily weighted. Where's your mixture of credit? Have you ever financed anything of this magnitude before? The definition of credit is the ability to pay over time. How long have you been in this space, right? You have to look at your credit profile as your resume anytime that you're asking somebody to lend you something.
Mm-hmm. It's like, here's my career experience with credit, with
Exactly.
paying installments. Got it.
Exactly.
All right. I think we're clear on personal credit. Tell us about business credit, right? So you said you got to get your own house in order personally before you can really amplify your business credit.
Mhm.
Why do we need business credit? And more importantly, what can we actually do with it? What are those opportunities that are right in front of us that we don't even see, we don't even think about, we're not taking advantage of, but we could actually skip the line
Mhm.
in growing our business?
Absolutely. So when it comes down to business credit, I just want to give you guys a few different plays, right? I want you to think about in this day and age that we live in, 9 times out of 10, when you have a business, you're marketing online, right? You're going to market online. The old way of doing things was like when our parents were around, they were knocking on people's door and they were trying to sell like their Mary Kay or whatever they were selling, right? That's obsolete now. This thing that we're speaking on, this computer, is the new way of getting your product in front of new eyes every single day. Okay. Now, if you're doing that with your personal debit card, you already lost. Okay. I want you guys to think logically. And we're just talking about marketing. Okay. When it pertains to marketing, you should be thinking about getting paid twice. Okay. Here's what I mean. When I swipe my credit card to run ads, not only am I making sales when it comes down to the ads that I'm running for my course, but I'm gaining points on a credit card. So I'm getting paid to get paid, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then on top of that, you have to think about if I don't have the money personally, right? Or if my money is tied up in my personal affairs, my rent, my cost of living, everything like that, where do I get money to compete in this business world? It's from the banks. The banks are willing, they have to give you money because that's how they stay afloat. That's how they stay thriving. Okay. The whole system is ran on credit. So everything when it pertains to your business, whether it be a physical business, whether it be a digital product, whatever you're thinking about, you should always, always be thinking, there's my startup money right there.
Let me ask you a question, okay? And it's
Yes.
not to challenge, it's a curious
Absolutely.
question. Why would it not be better to
Mm-hmm.
save money from your profit, from your net, to put it in a separate marketing account where that goes, those are your marketing dollars, and do it that way? That's where I run my ads. That's where I do that from that budget where I've saved money versus going and taking on debt from, outrageous interest loans and stuff like that from the banks to get paid to make money, right? So to run my ads from loans that I took from the bank. Was that clear? The two
Mm-hmm.
options
Yeah.
there. Why is one better than the other?
Because when you take your own money, right? Let's just say profits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you reinvest it, and you're going to do that anyway. Let's be clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way that you're doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take your profits and you're going to put them to the side, and you're absolutely going to spend that money on the credit card because if you don't spend it on the credit card, you're not getting paid to get paid. You're literally just taking your money, your earnings, your profits, and putting it on marketing. And all you get out of that is sales.
Okay, so just
Whereas,
to be clear, so doing it
yes.
that way, skipping the banks, right? Skipping the
Mhm.
credit lines. You're saying you're only
Mhm.
getting paid once from the return on your marketing, right? New customers,
Absolutely.
etc.
Absolutely.
But you're saying if you go through a bank credit card, and apply
Mhm.
that to your marketing, you're getting paid twice because now you're getting points back
Points.
on your marketing dollars. Okay, that made a lot of sense. Got it.
100%. And then also, I want you to think about it like this. If I sell a product, right? Let's just say we had a really good month and we made $50,000, right? And out of that, we grossed $50,000, right? Out of that $50,000, we may have netted, let's say, $15,000, right? Cost of doing business, everything, right? Now we have 15K to invest back into marketing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to someone else, they're like, that's pretty good. That, I got $15,000. But I want you to think about, what if you had no limit on what you could spend on marketing next month? That's what credit does. Credit says, as long as you pay this back, guess what? We'll keep giving you more limits so that your scalability is endless. Now, your biggest problem is, how do I keep these systems in order? Because I have too much money at my disposal.
All right. So what I'm hearing you say here is that if you if we do not use the credit that's available to us through banks, etc., for our marketing, in our business as an entrepreneur, then we are limited to our own financial boundaries of how much net or profit that we have in our business. So that's our financial boundaries. We can't market past that.
You can't market past that.
You
And
can't
and
market past that.
and that's just marketing.
And
So
that's just marketing.
we're just touching on marketing. So now let's just say that you do a phenomenal job marketing your product or service, right? And now the demand comes, right? So let's just say I have iPhone cases,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done a great job marketing these iPhone cases.
Mm-hmm.
I can only buy, without credit, I can only buy what my profit allows me to buy
Mm-hmm.
to for the next re-up,
But what if
right?
your demand is higher than that?
But if your demand is higher than that, which is
Right?
going,
Say you get 10,000 orders for new phone cases, but you cannot fulfill that inventory. Now you're
now
stuck.
you're missing money.
But had you had business credit, you could go ahead and just take care of all 10,000 and reap that profit immediately.
100%.
Okay, I get it. Startup Nation, you get it. You're tracking. You following? I think you are.
100%. You don't want limitations in business.
All
You
right.
don't want.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? So, it's the same thing with our mindset, right? We have our own personal boundaries or limitations, fears, and limitations, and we never go past them in our
Right.
own mind. Well, you're saying, hey, we also have our own financial boundaries and limitations that we never go past as entrepreneurs. But what if you can expand your boundaries?
Right.
And that's what credit does. It expands your boundaries, expands your
100%.
limitations.
100%. And on the simplest playing field, right? I want you to think about this, Joseph. Every single day we spend money. We are consumers by nature, right? So we're spending money on groceries. We're spending money on taking the wife out, a night on the town. We're spending money on our card notes, gas, everything, cost of living, right? We get nothing in return when we use our debit card. We literally get nothing in return. Here's the money. Check comes next week. Put the money back in the bank account, spend the money again, and get nothing in return.
Mm-hmm.
Credit changes all of that. Imagine going out to eat for free. Imagine paying your rent for free
Mm-hmm.
on points, because I just took all of my everyday spending habits and put it on a credit card. Now I'm flying for free. The night on the town is for free. My rent is for free. Car note for free. Because my whole job is to run up these points. I'm spending the money anyway. I'm spending the money anyway. So now it just takes discipline. I think the problem with people sometimes is, when it comes down to credit, we feel like we got away with something when we get approved for a certain limit, right? If someone said, here's a $10,000 credit card, Joseph, it's all yours. And you're like, wait, I can spend as much as I want? Yeah, you can spend as much as you want. You feel like you got away with something. Every time you swipe that card, you feel like, I didn't have to work for that money. So I got away with it a little bit, until it's time for you to have to pay it back. And then they set you up with a minimum payment, right? So now you say, well, I spent $2,000, but the minimum payment is only $150. So I don't have to pay the money back right now. That's the trap. You have to learn the credit game. I'm not saying credit is all like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
they want your best, they got your best interest for you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have to learn how to play the game, right? So if you were going to spend it anyway, spend it on a credit card and pay it back, because you're going to gain points for
So don't pay the minimum 150 for the month. Pay
it.
the 2,000 back.
No. And that's a whole nother conversation. If you're strategically trying to build credit, then you don't pay the whole $2,000 back.
Right.
You pay it back over time.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. So it depends on where you are in that
right,
journey.
right.
Okay, got it. All right, Startup Nation, I hope this has been valuable to you. Obviously, we're just scratching the surface. Bernie goes a lot deeper with his clients, and he custom tailors his coaching and his packages to your situation. Bernie, very cool stuff. Okay, how did you use credit to make your first six figures? Oh, I shouldn't say how did you use credit. How did you build your credit business
Mhm.
to six figures in 4 months? What did you do that worked?
So this is what I did. And I'm gonna give you guys the sauce, the real sauce, okay? Behind the scenes stuff.
Give us the hot sauce. Let's go.
Right. I went out and I took out a $50,000 loan, right? After I built my credit out.
Mm-hmm.
After I built up my credit. I took out a $50,000 loan for the sole purpose of becoming this figure on social media.
All right, tell us more about that. Come on.
So I
Who'd you
took
who'd you
out,
take the loan from? A bank?
I took,
Credit
yeah,
card?
from the bank.
Okay.
Yep. From the bank. Yep. And SoFi is very good with new people. Just to let you guys know, SoFi is a bank and they are very, very generous when it comes down to new entrepreneurs taking out loans. And this was a personal loan, guys, just to let you guys know. This is a personal loan.
So what is this? SoFi.com? What is it?
It's yeah, I believe it's SoFi.com. It's SOFI.
Got it.
SoFi is a thing. Citizens is another bank that gave me some money. So
Mm-hmm.
I took out two loans. I took out $30,000 from SoFi and took out $20,000 from Citizens.
Okay.
I took that money and I did the craziest thing that you could ever think of
What'd
doing.
you do?
I went and got more debt. I went and
What?
got I went and got a Mercedes Benz. Yep. Took the down payment, put it down on the Mercedes Benz. Not just any Mercedes Benz. I got an S550 coupe, and I went and I bet on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not telling you guys to go out and do what I did.
No, no,
I
you're just telling
believe
us what you did.
right,
Walk
right.
us through
I
this. Keep
believe
going.
you. So I went and got the Benz. I went and got a new place. Upgraded my rags, and I became this person on social media
So you
because I
invested in creating this high level persona.
absolutely. And this is marketing. This
Mm-hmm.
is marketing, guys. You have to be the person that people want to get next to.
Mm-hmm.
They have to believe that you're doing what you're doing in order for them to want to learn from you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I understood this. Remember, I went to college for marketing. So I understood either you're going to be super, super smart. I'm talking about like Bezos smart, or you're going to be super loud, right? You're going to be
Okay.
super loud. And that will win on social media. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you have so many intelligent things to say out of your mouth where people just can't stop listening, you're going to attract the right people. But the other part of that is if you don't have that, you can literally be loud and people will listen to you. And what I mean by loud is things,
Yeah.
flashiness, right?
Flashy. Now, this is so true. I mean, if you look at most of the social media influencers, the big ones, right? They are Elon Musk, right? Super brilliant genius. You're like, everything this guy says is just like, whoa, blew my
Mm-hmm,
mind, right?
mm-hmm,
Or Bezos, right? Super smart.
mm-hmm.
Or super loud. They're showing the cars, they're showing the houses, they're showing everything. And you're like, who actually follows that? It's so ridiculous. Like, I'm so not into that. Yet you keep listening, you
Keep
keep
listening,
watching, you
keep
keep
watching.
following. And eventually they make an offer that you're like, you know what? Why not?
I thought I didn't like this guy, but you know what? You know, I do want some of that.
But
And
but thank you for saying that because I think you just broke into two very simple categories. Startup Nation, if you want to win on social media as an influencer, if you're not super smart, meaning like me, if you're not super smart, then you need to be super loud. If you're not super loud, then you need to be super smart. Those are the two winning formulas. And I think that kind of sums it up. Is there a third?
no, the third is both together.
Both
The
together,
third is a
super
hybrid
smart and super
and
loud,
loud.
right? You're looking the rich part. You're looking the rich part. That's the loud. All right, keep going.
Yes, sir. So I took that $50,000 out and I invested into my persona.
Super, you got super loud. That was your
Got super
investment.
loud. I got super loud, and it did numbers for me. It did wonders for me because I had a plan. Let's be clear. I had a plan that said, "All right, I'm gonna get super loud, but it's going to be for a reason,
Hmm.
right? I don't want this to be just like, oh, the guy who looks like he's doing this thing on Instagram, right? So I met with an influencer, right, and he had about 100 and I want to say 80,000 followers at the time on Instagram. And I used my credit, the loan money, to keep marketing with him every day. Literally, we were every day, I was putting my product in front of his audience every single day. And as he's growing, I'm growing. And I didn't mind paying him because I was charging $1,200 for credit repair.
Hmm.
Okay. So now imagine you got 150,000 followers. All of us know someone who needs their credit repaired.
Hmm.
Every one of us, right? So I was putting my brand in front of the brand that I created in front of this audience that I had no access to other than the influencer. So that really scaled my business faster than what I even thought it was going to do. It was literally where I couldn't control, like I had to slow it down.
The demand was high.
The demand was high, right? And for me, I'm a businessman, so I'm like, you know what? I'm turning down money because I can't keep up with the fulfillment, right? So in my mind, I'm like, you know what? It's not just that I'm missing money, but when I repair these people's credit, I was finding out that there was a trend of them coming back to me within 6 to 8 months because they messed their credit up again and they said, "Hey, I need you again."
So you
Yep,
fix the credit, but not their bad decisions and
yeah,
habits.
yep. So I realized that okay, I'm kind of doing these people a disservice because I'm not teaching them, and I'm doing myself a disservice because I have to turn down money because I can't keep up with the fulfillment part of it. That's where Skip the Line was born because now I said I'm going to not only fix my problem, but I'm going to fix your problem. So I'm going to teach you everything that I do when it comes down to repairing the credit, building your credit, and leveraging your credit, right? And not am I gonna stop there? No, I'm gonna go as far as teaching you business credit as well, right? So I put together this 10-week program, and it took me way longer than it should have. It took me 2 years, 2 years to put this thing together. And the reason why is because I literally took every question that I've ever been asked and I answered it inside of this program, right? For my clients. And when I tell you it was the best thing that I've ever could have done, because now having a digital product, there's no real fulfillment. I meet with my students once a week
Mhm.
on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock, and that's just for Q&A. I give them 2 hours a week out of my time, right? And I just changed the whole narrative. Changed the whole narrative. Before, when I got into it, I was more so like trying to hold on to the information because I thought that's where my value was. That's where my worth was. So once I realized, no, give the information out and let them do it. To me, the it clicked for me. Let's just put it like that.
Mm. So you really went from one to one, coaching with clients to one to many, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's a big shift. Now, do you miss one to one because normally that's a higher ticket
No.
than one to many,
No.
but it's harder to fulfill, like you said. But now
Yes.
you have really easy fulfillment, but a lower ticket.
So yeah, it's a lower ticket, but it's worth more, if that makes sense. It's a lower ticket because, of course, price wise, but it's worth more because I get my value and time back.
There you go.
So to me, it's like you created a program where now you have duplicated yourself and you can literally be in people's living room, in 100 people's living room at one time.
Hmm.
So it was a no-brainer for me. And no, I don't miss it because dealing with a certain caliber of person, credit repair is an industry where you're getting people who were like they were irresponsible with their credit, right? So some of these people that you encounter, they are unrealistic, right? They mess their credit up for 10 years and then they want something done in 60 days.
Hmm.
It doesn't happen that way. So building the program, the Skip the Line course, I taught them the reality of this world that you're embarking on. Like this is what it takes. It's not an overnight fix. Okay. It's not a get rich quick scheme. There's none of that going on here. This is really the reality of what it takes to repair your credit and then build it.
Now I'm curious because I was looking at your online course and you offer installments, right,
Yes.
to pay the ticket.
Yep.
Yet you're dealing with people coming in that don't have a good track record of paying installments on time, right? So like, has that caused a problem in your own business model, or do you have a high success rate of people pay those installments?
Number one, to answer you, it's a two-part question. I do have a high success rate of people who are paying the installments, but then here's the other thing. I want you to think about this. When you have a digital product, it's created,
Yeah,
right?
it
And
costs
you
you
only
nothing.
cost you nothing. So
Yeah,
even if you made $3
yeah,
on
profit.
a sale, it's profit,
Yeah,
And of course, I'm exaggerating when I say
right.
$3 because it costs to run ads. But what I'm saying is, if you made $100, you profiting.
Yeah.
So I give you three installments of $3.99. The price does go up if you decide to go the installment route. That's to incentivize you to pay the $9.99,
Hmm.
right? But if you pay $3.97 and then you just decide to stop paying, I'm gonna cut your access off to the
Hmm.
program, and I made $3.97.
Yeah,
It's no loss
while you were sleeping.
while you were sleeping.
Awesome. All right, Bernie, thank you, man. That was a deep dive, bro. We got into some stuff there, you know? We got into some mindset, we got into some tactics and strategies. I think just for me, like what a cool insight, Startup Nation, in that Bernie opened up for all of us, which is I really like the whole social play you did, man. You know, saying, hey, you could either be super smart or super loud to be an influencer on social. Those are the two winning formulas. And there's very few of us out there that are super smart. It's less than 1%, right? Less than 1%, which means we all can jump into the super loud category, but that takes an investment. And you
100%.
leveraged other people's money, the bank's money, in order to jump into that game. And
100%.
then you created instant demand by partnering with someone who already built a community, already had influence, and you just leveraged their name, their credibility, their list, and you just paid to play. And
100%.
that is a winning formula right now. It definitely is.
100%. And it won't go anywhere. As long as social media is around, I promise you, you got to understand there are more and more influencers coming up every day who get paid for this. That's what their job is. As they're growing their brand, they're growing their followers, they're looking to get paid to put your stuff in front of their people. That's what an influencer is. They're looking to get partnership deals from H&M and all of these other places, right? And that is their whole goal. So now, if you're looking to put money in their pocket, they're not going to say no. They're not going to say no to you because they want to eventually live off of their influence,
You know,
right?
this is the Oprah effect. I think it was the first like coined term around this business model, right? Like anybody she brought onto her show, Oprah Winfrey, immediately became an instant success based on her list, her credibility, right? Her influence. And people would pay for that game. So now you have, millions or whatever, we'll say 10,000 influencers out there that are selling their Oprah effect to you that you can pay for, but you don't have to. You can use the bank's money to pay for it. Sell quickly if you have a product that sells and it offers value. You could sell quickly without taking on all that risk, and then pay back the bank immediately. And you
Right.
use their money to get there. All right, we've been speaking with Bernie Goode, and man, he's a good guest, right? Like he delivered some good value today, didn't he, Startup Nation? All right, so Bernie, we're going to get to my favorite part of the show. Welcome to the hustle round. I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. It's just for fun. It's like a game show minus the prizes. Are you ready, sir?
I love that voice. Let's go.
What's your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur, man?
Making money in my sleep.
There you go. What's your least favorite thing?
Uh, Least favorite thing. Sheesh. I know you said don't think a lot. Least favorite thing is hard. It's hard. It's hard. Uh, when, uh, when, oh, can I be frank?
Yeah.
I
Come
try
on.
to, I try to liberate people, and when they don't get it, it frustrates me. I try to
Absolutely.
liberate people. I try to get them away from their 9 to 5 and show them what's possible. And when they don't get it, it frustrates me.
I
But
get
that's
that. Yeah. I think all of us resonate with that, right? We have clients that are just not ready to receive the gift, right? And
mm,
you're like, come on, the gift's going to help you. I
right.
believe we're all struggling with something at any given moment of our life, Bernie. It's just part of the human condition. What are you currently challenged with right now, either professionally or personally?
My back hurts.
Your back hurts.
Yeah, it's the
That's real.
simplest thing. My back and my hip hurts, man. I sit in this chair all day long, and
Yeah.
it wears and tears on me. See, I
Man.
didn't have to think about that. That's
No, you didn't. That was real. Dude, I'm not going to compare mine to yours, but man, I sprained my lower back in playing racquetball last week, and
right.
it's bothering me hard, man, just sitting here. What are you most afraid of?
The most thing that I'm afraid of is not being successful.
Got it. Aren't you already successful?
No,
Wow. There's more to
no.
get.
Yeah, bro. I'm nowhere
There's
near
more to
success.
give.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
What did you spend way too much time doing your first year in this business?
Um, Thinking that I had to do everything myself.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Got it. What secret fear do you have about people?
Secret fear that I have about people?
Yeah.
Secret fear that I have about people. Surprisingly, I'm very trusting. I'm a very trusting person, even after what happened to me. My secret fear that I have about people is that your intentions aren't good for me,
Mm.
and you're secretly using me, or yeah.
I totally get that, man. It's like I don't want to take another bullet in the chest, so to speak, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, I totally get that. Uh, what do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
Um, Wish that I learned sooner in business.
Hmm.
I wish that I got a mentor earlier in my journey.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think that I needed a mentor because I thought I had my own, stuff going on. And um, sometimes scaling too fast is not a good thing.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. So it sounds good. We're
Hmm.
talking about money, we're talking about monetary gain, but we get into this place where we don't understand what it takes to maintain that, and then we don't understand that we get spoiled and we think every business is going to go that way, especially if your first business took off like that.
That was
You
me,
think
man. And
every
then I had
Yeah, you
10
think
failures in a row after that.
right, right. So you know what I'm talking about. Like
Oh, I felt it. I
the
lived it.
best thing is to get the failures out of the way early. If
Yeah.
you hit gold on your first business, it messes you up.
Yeah, I was delusional after that, man. What's a new habit that you're going to create this year?
A new habit that I'm going to create. My vision board, man. Like I bought a vision board, and I've been putting it off for years, and I've watched everybody say, "Oh, what is your vision board?" And I haven't done it. That's a new
Mm-mm-mm.
habit. I'm going to start visualizing the
What's a
things
bad
that I
habit
want.
you're going to break?
Laziness.
Got it. And procrastination. There you go.
Yeah.
Pick 3 words to describe who you are now.
Uh, Tenacious, loving, and resilient.
Pick 3 words to describe who you were your first year in this business.
Lazy, ignorant, and patient.
Got it. And last question, if you could come back to life after you died, look your family and friends in the eye, and give them only one piece of advice about real success in life, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that we are all looking for happiness, right? That's the light at the end of the tunnel. We're all looking for happiness, okay? And when it pertains to you, you have to realize that everything you do, the end result, the end picture is happiness, right? So if you keep the happiness first in front of you, then you're not going to compromise who you are, compromise your integrity, right? Compromise your spirit, your soul. You're not going to compromise those things because you know that it's not conducive to your happiness.
Mm, I got it. So you got to have that clear destination, which is happiness. Now's the chance to give Startup Nation, my audience, a homework assignment
Mm.
for this week. What is one action they must take this week in order to grow their credit, leverage their credit to build their businesses, man, and better their lives? Yeah.
Okay. What I would say is, if I had to tell you to do one thing, is to start being more intentional about your credit, right? If you have credit, you want to start being more intentional. And what I mean by that is learn what it takes to like grow your credit, right? Learn what it takes to get those higher limits, right? Learn what you can do with credit, right? Just be more intentional when it pertains to your credit. And now, if you don't have credit at all, I would tell you that it's 2023 and you're missing out. You have to get with someone who's going to help you. Mentorship is key. That's what I would. That's the advice that I would
All
give.
right, go find that mentor for credit. Maybe it's Bernie, maybe it's someone else, but find
Mhm.
someone. Startup Nation. What did I say? Startup Nation. That's not a word. If you enjoyed this show, this episode, and Bernie rocked your world and you felt he was a good guest, then go to Apple Podcast, go to Stitcher.com, or go to first100k.com and write an honest review right now. Do that with your thumbs. Let's go. And if we like what you write, I'll give you a live shout out on the show, like I'm about to do for Caveman Carney, handle Caveman Carney. Thank you for your 5-star review. He wrote, "This show, your first 100K is the best. Joseph's a gem of a human vibrating with positivity while living a mission to serve the world." Thank you, Caveman Carney. That's awesome. Thanks for seeing that in me. And I really do try, man. I suck at it most of the time, but darn it, every day I try to suck less, right? That's the goal. That is the goal, people. All right. So everybody out there, be a gem of a human being, like Caveman Carney said today. That's your challenge for today. Go out today and just be a gem to someone, anyone who's less fortunate than you, who needs help. Like,
Absolutely.
just pour into their life. Immediately, you're going to feel better about your life just by doing that. So go reap that reward. It's right in front of you. Maybe it's a client, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's that person that you've been avoiding and you just want to give them a quick call and just speak some love and truth into their life. Encourage them. Everyone's struggling with something, Startup Nation. Everyone. Bernie and I, off camera here, we started out saying, like, the majority of the world is in pain, but it's not visible to others.
Mm.
It's emotional, it's psychological, it's spiritual, but everyone's dealing with something. And then there's a small percentage of people where their pain is visible, like Bernie in a wheelchair. And you're like, wow, your heart immediately is drawn to them. Like, wow, look at that pain. How are they doing this? They're amazing. They're so inspiring. Well, so are the people in invisible pain, and they're walking through their crosses and their challenges, but you don't see it. So we ignore them,
Mm.
and they go through their pain alone. So reach out to somebody and just assume they're dealing with a struggle and
Mm.
speak encouragement to them. You'd be
Mm.
so surprised how many people will be like, wow, you don't know how much I needed to hear that today. Thank you.
Abs-
All right, go do that. Bernie Goode, where does Startup Nation go to find out more about you? Maybe we're interested in your course, your program. I want to skip the line with Bernie. What do you got
Absolutely.
for them, man?
So what I would tell you to do is don't take my word for it. Don't take Joseph's word for it. In this day and age, social media, believe it or not, that is your resume, right? Like it's literally your resume. So what I would tell you to do is go visit my Instagram page, Be Good Financials. That's B O, I mean, pardon me, BGOODE financials with an S, right? And just go check me out. You have to understand that I don't want you to just buy from me. I want you to know, like, and trust me, or at least feel like you do. Okay. So I would encourage you to go there first and then click the link in the bio if you decide that I am someone that you would like to learn from. Can I give them a little word of advice as well, Joseph? So when it comes down to mentorship, I want you guys to understand this, right? And this is the same thing I tell my students. I am your GPS system. I want you to think of me as your GPS system. What does a GPS system do? It helps you to get to your destination faster, right? It's a turn by turn route that gets you to your destination faster. But you still have to take the road. You still have to take the road trip. You still have to watch out for those potholes, right? You still have to listen and imply, right? You have to understand, or pardon me, apply. You have to understand that as a mentor, we can take you but so far. It's really your mindset, right? And what I encourage you to do is think about value in a simplistic way, right? Don't think of value as this thing, oh, I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what my contribution is. No, value is simply making life more convenient for other people. That's all value is when you think about it, right? Everything that you've ever bought, everything. I'm talking about down to the shirt, the TV, the house that you live in, the shoes that you wear, the car that you drive. You bought that for convenience. Why do I say that? Because as human beings, we're the ones who are creating all of these things. So that means that you have the capability of creating those things yourself, but you don't have time to learn how to build a car. You don't have time to learn how to build a house. You don't have time to learn how to do these things. So you bought it out of convenience. Whoever decided to build those things for us, they bridged the gap and they made life more convenient for us. So all value is making life more convenient. And once you figure out how you can do that for others, I'm telling you right now, you're set.
All right, Startup Nation, there's your pep talk. Now go do it. I'll see you next week on the show. Bernie, Goode. Thank you for being on your first 100K. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life, sir.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers.